So, you're thinking about investing in real estate in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. It's an amazing opportunity for sure, but, and this is a big but, it's also a minefield of hidden risks that can cost you millions. So, in this explainer, we're giving you the ultimate investor's survival guide to make sure your next property deal is safe, secure, and, most importantly, smart. All right, picture this. You've been searching for months, and then you finally find it. The perfect property, great neighborhood in Abuja. The asking price? 60 million naira. Seems like a fantastic deal, right? But here's the question you have to ask. Is that the price you're actually going to pay? Well, here's where things get crazy. That 60 million naira property could very easily end up costing you 90 million. So how does that happen? It's all because of hidden government fees and unpaid charges that the last owner just left behind. And if you don't find them, guess what? That 30 million naira debt becomes your problem.
So how in the world do you avoid an expensive trap like that? The answer is a process called due diligence. Think of it like your protective shield. It's the essential detective work you do to uncover all of a property's hidden secrets before you commit. It's what makes sure your investment is built on a rock-solid foundation, not on sand.
Okay, so let's break it down. Our survival guide is split into 4 key stages. First, we're going to get a handle on the unique rules of Abuja's high-stakes property game. Then, we'll talk about the crucial investigation you absolutely have to do before you pay. After that, we'll look at the paperwork that seals the deal. And finally, the most important part, locking in your ownership for good. First things first, you have to understand the rules of the game here. The single most important thing to know about Abuja is that under the Land Use Act, all land in the Federal Capital Territory is technically owned by the government. Individuals and companies are just granted the right to use it. Now, why does this matter so much? It means verifying everything through official channels isn't just a good idea, it's absolutely non-negotiable. Okay, so that brings us to the first real step you have to take, the investigation. This is the detective work you must complete before a single naira leaves your bank account, and trust me, it can literally save you millions. So what are you looking for exactly? Well, the first big one is hidden financial liabilities. This could be anything from unpaid ground rent to outstanding fees for the original certificate of occupancy or a bunch of other forgotten charges. And here's the kicker. If you buy a property with these debts attached, the government holds you, the new owner, responsible for paying every last kobo. And believe me, it gets even more serious. Beyond just inheriting debt, you face the very real risk of revocation. What this means is if the previous owner didn't pay their dues or meet certain development conditions, the government has the full legal right to just take the land back. Yeah, even after you've paid for it.
I know what you're thinking. Wait a minute, they can just take my land? And the short, scary answer is yes, if the title you bought was already faulty. This is exactly what due diligence is for. It helps you uncover these huge red flags before you buy, so you don't end up purchasing a property that's already on the verge of being taken away.
So what's your secret weapon here? It's the official title search at AGIS, which stands for the Abuja Geographical Information System. This is the government agency that has the final say on every single property in the FCT. Now look, this is where having a qualified property lawyer becomes your best investment. They know exactly how to navigate the AGIS system and, more importantly, how to interpret what they find to keep you safe. Think of your AIGS search like a simple but powerful checklist. First, your lawyer will confirm that the person selling the property is actually the legal owner. Second, they'll check if there are any ongoing court cases tied to the land. And third, they'll uncover any financial burdens, like if the property has been used as collateral for a bank loan. Okay, so you've done your homework, the investigation looks clean, and you've paid the seller. Great. But hold on, you are not done yet, not even close. Now comes the critical part of sealing the deal with the right paperwork. This is what truly protects your rights as the new owner. Right at the beginning, you need 2 key documents. The offer and acceptance agreement basically locks in the price and stops the seller from suddenly changing their mind or jacking up the price. Even more important is the contract of sale. This is where you write down every single promise the seller made. You know, things like promising to build roads or provide electricity in a new estate. And let me be super clear about this. If a promise isn't written down in that contract, it is legally worthless. A verbal promise for a paved road is just talk. A contractual promise for that same road is a legal obligation. This document is your ultimate defense against unfulfilled commitments. All right, next up, the formal transfer. To make the property title officially yours, you need a legal document called a deed. But here's the thing, not all deeds are the same, and using the wrong one for your type of property can cause some major headaches down the road.
Luckily, the two most common ones are pretty easy to understand. If you're buying a finished house that's already built, you'll use a deed of assignment. But if you're buying a single plot of bare land inside a bigger estate, what you need is a deed of subdivision. Simple as that.
But there's one document that pretty much every property expert will tell you to be really careful with, the deed of sublease. This one can be super risky. Why? Because it might mean you're only leasing the property for a certain amount of time, and once that time is up, ownership could legally go right back to the original owner. That would be a total disaster if you thought you were buying it forever.
And that brings us to the finish line, the final and, I'd argue, the most critical step of this whole journey. It's the one action that makes your ownership official and undeniable in the eyes of the law: registering your title with the government. Now, this process has a bit of a fancy name. It's called title perfection, but all it really means is taking your signed deed, whether it's a deed of assignment or subdivision, and submitting it to AGIS. They then update all their official records to show that, yep, you are the new legitimate owner of that property.
You have to understand, until you've completed this final step, your ownership isn't fully secure. Registering your title is the ultimate lock on your investment. It makes you the one and only legal owner. It stops the old owner from trying to scam someone else by selling the same property again, and it gives you the power to use the property as collateral for a loan or to pass it down securely to your family. It's everything.
So look, by following this process, investigating, verifying, documenting, and finally registering, you turn what could be a risky gamble into a secure, valuable asset. You're not just buying a piece of land, you're building a solid foundation for your future. And now that your investment is fully protected, there's really only one question left. What will you build on it?